David was 28 years old, working as a warehouse supervisor at a distribution center. He was good at his job, respected by his team, and known for being efficient. He had a young daughter, Emma, who was 4 years old at the time. Every evening, he'd rush home to read her bedtime stories. On paper, David did everything right. He completed his safety training, attended the mandatory meetings, and knew the protocols inside and out. But knowing the rules and following them every single time are two different things. It was a Thursday afternoon in July. The warehouse was understaffed, and a major shipment needed to go out before 5 p.m. The pressure was mounting. David's team was working at full capacity, and everyone was feeling the stress. There was a pallet of boxes stuck on a high shelf about 12 feet up. The proper procedure was clear. Get the forklift, position it correctly, lower the pallet safely, and move it to the loading area. This process would take about 15 minutes, but David saw another option. There was a ladder nearby. He could climb up, push the pallet to the edge, and his team could catch it below. 5 minutes, tops. They'd done similar things before without incident. The clock was ticking, and that shipment had to leave on time. David made his choice. He grabbed the ladder. The split second what happened next took less than 3 seconds, but those 3 seconds divided David's life into before and after. As he pushed the pallet, it shifted unexpectedly. The weight distribution was off. David lost his balance. He fell from the ladder, and the pallet came down with him. His coworkers called emergency services immediately. The response time was excellent. The medical team did everything they could, but some things, once they happen, cannot be undone. David survived, but his life changed completely. He sustained injuries that required multiple operations and months of rehabilitation. The physical recovery was grueling, but it was only part of the story. The medical bills started arriving. Even with insurance, the costs mounted quickly. Physical therapy, specialist appointments, medications, adaptive equipment for his home. The financial pressure became overwhelming. Then there was his career. David couldn't return to his warehouse job. His physical limitations meant he needed to completely retrain for a different kind of work. At 28, he was starting over, but with far fewer options than he'd had before. The emotional toll was perhaps the hardest part. David struggled with depression and anxiety. He felt guilty about the burden on his family. His daughter was too young to fully understand why Daddy couldn't pick her up anymore, why he was always tired, why everything had changed. His marriage faced enormous strain. His wife became a caregiver on top of being a partner and parent. The stress of medical appointments, financial worries, and the loss of their previous life together tested their relationship in ways they'd never imagined. But David's shortcut didn't just affect him. His team witnessed the incident, and several struggled with trauma afterward. The company faced investigations, fines, and legal proceedings. Insurance premiums increased. Training protocols were overhauled at significant cost. Most importantly, David's daughter grew up with a father whose life had been permanently altered. Birthday parties, father-daughter dances, teaching her to ride a bike, all of these moments were different than they would have been. Not impossible, but fundamentally changed. Years later, David would say that he thinks about that decision every single day. One choice, made under pressure, in 15 seconds, affected every single day that followed. Understanding why people take workplace shortcuts is crucial to preventing these incidents. The reasons are almost always understandable, even if the decision isn't right. Time pressure is the biggest factor. When deadlines loom and resources are limited, the temptation to cut corners becomes stronger. We tell ourselves that speed is necessary, that the risk is minimal, that we've gotten away with it before. Familiarity breeds complacency. When you do the same job every day, the dangers start to feel distant and abstract. The safety procedures start to feel like unnecessary bureaucracy rather than life-saving protocols. Social pressure matters too. When everyone around you is cutting corners, following the proper procedure can feel like you're slowing the team down. Nobody wants to be the person who holds up progress for paranoid safety concerns. And sometimes it's just habit. We see experienced workers taking shortcuts, and we assume that if they can do it safely, we can too. We don't see all the times they got lucky, or we don't know about the close calls they never reported. When we calculate whether a shortcut is worth it, we typically only consider immediate consequences. Will I get caught? Will something go wrong this one time? But the real question is different. What is this shortcut worth if something does go wrong? Is saving 15 minutes worth months of recovery? Is meeting a deadline worth chronic pain for the rest of your life? Is efficiency worth the risk of never being able to play catch with your children again? When you frame it that way, the math becomes very clear. No amount of time saved is worth a lifetime of consequences. David's story teaches us several critical lessons that apply far beyond warehouses. First, safety procedures exist for a reason. They're written in response to real incidents, near misses, and careful risk assessment. They might seem excessive in the moment, but they're designed for the worst-case scenario, not the average day. Second, pressure is never an excuse. A deadline is not worth your health. A productivity target is not worth your future. Any workplace that punishes people for following safety procedures is a workplace that will eventually hurt someone. Third, experience doesn't make you immune. In fact, experienced workers are often more likely to take risks because they've succeeded with shortcuts before. But probability doesn't care about your track record. The incident that changes your life could happen on your 1,000th shortcut or your first 4th. Speak up. If you see coworkers taking risks, say something. If you feel pressure to skip safety steps, push back. Your voice could prevent someone else's life-changing moment. Today, David works as a workplace safety consultant. He shares his story at companies across the country, hoping that his experience will prevent someone else from making the same choice he did. He's learned to adapt to his new reality. He's found ways to be present for his daughter. His marriage survived, though it took years of work. He's built a meaningful career from his painful lesson, but he is always clear about one thing. If he could go back to that Thursday afternoon in July and spend 15 minutes getting the forklift, he would do it in a heartbeat. No question. No hesitation. The next time you're at work and you see a shortcut, pause, take a breath, think about David. Think about your own family waiting for you at home. Think about all the moments you have yet to live. Then take the extra time. Follow the procedure. Do it the safe way. Because some shortcuts don't just waste time. They steal your future. Your life is worth 15 minutes. It's worth an hour. It's worth whatever time it takes to do things right. Make the choice that your future self will thank you for. Every single time, stay safe out there.